Star Citizen Alpha 3.22.1 is now live. We're going to be looking at what's new in this patch, delving through the patch notes with a summary, what's going to affect you. There's lots of master modes and arena commander updates too, which are pretty important. There's been a mini wipe for this patch, so what does that mean? Characters in this new environment will be built from LTP data, long-term persistent data, so items such as medpens, ammo, rentals, and refinery jobs will be lost, consumables will be lost. They fixed an issue that could cause Alpha UBC purchased ships to be lost from the long-term persistent database after a patch. However, this LTP bug fix will take effect going into future updates, but not this one. So in the future, there shouldn't be so many issues with ships purchased in-game carrying over. An example of one of these issues is that ships that were getting insurance claimed weren't saved to the database properly unless the ship was also ASOP spawned and then restored into a location. But hopefully, going forward, that won't be an issue after this patch. Best practices as well. It is best practice after you have patched the game up to this latest version to delete your user and shader folder, and I'll link the Alpha 3.22.1 known issues and some solutions and workarounds in the comments below as well. So if you've got a problem, bam, you should be able to find a solution there, hopefully. Let's start with some patch notes that are more specific to the persistent universe. There are Gravlev balance updates. They've done a full pass for performance changes on all Gravlev vehicles. Distortion has had some temporary changes, so distortion damage has now been effectively removed from all items except power plants and dashboards. This is a temporary measure until they rework how distortion damage penetrates vehicle hulls. Shields now have a 75% to 95% resistance against distortion weapons based on power triangle assignment. They've updated mining item descriptions to reference inert material level instead of filtering. They've added a mild push impulse force on catastrophic shatter of minables with a smaller force for FPS variants of that. We also know that there are new overdrive initiative missions added, chains of pre-Xenothreat dynamic event missions. Lots of cool stuff there. I'm not sure when they're going to be activating those, but probably just before Xenothreat runs. And by the time you see this, some form of Idris event should have started. Now, we're not entirely sure what's happening with this. We do know that it was delayed till 1 PM UTC on Friday the 23rd of February to start, but I don't know exactly what's going on. They aren't releasing the Idris to players, we know that, but it looks like there's interior to the Idris M now, and it could be like an Idris mission or game mode with boarding involved. There are some major bug fixes beyond just fixing various crashes. Underground elevators should now no longer go missing. The prison elevator is now functional. Med beds should now work. The target attackers hotkey wasn't working. That's now working. Hostile AI dropping their weapons when entering combat has been fixed. Releasing flares and decoys and using distortion damage shouldn't cause performance issues. Various ship storage, door, spawning, fog, and ship invulnerability issues were fixed, as were some audio issues with ships and engines. The rock mining laser should now work consistently. Energy-based weapons should now properly work again. Kiosks should no longer get stuck at signing out. Multiple players can tractor beam the same container appropriately now. Ships can't block access to the Lorville Central Business District. Small windmills at settlements have collision, and they fixed an issue that was causing Gravlev anti-fall to not trigger across rivers. A huge portion of this update is about Arena Commander and Master Mode updates. So there's a new experimental mode Gravlev race using hover vehicles. So this is on 5 new maps: the Snake Pit Reverse, Clio Islands, River's Edge, and Shifting Sands. Gun Rush, the FPS mode, has seen an update removing a rank and changing the weapons and the order for a better experience. They've also removed the salvo pistol and the railgun, among some other things that I think is a good shout, in my opinion. It's fun, Gun Rush, really like it. Ballistic Persistence, a system which had you respawn with the same ammo you had upon death, has been disabled for ships. UI message querying has been tweaked so you don't get messages overlapping. Kill confirmed vehicle pickups will now be awarded based on the value of the destroyed vehicle. Spawn screen improvements have been made to the spawn screen, including closing the vehicle selection in more ways. A list view of available multi-crew ships, which is always available. More information on who and how many are aboard a selected vehicle before spawning, and more. I believe that the cap is actually 4 crew per ship in Arena Commander still, though. They've disabled some maps, Bloodshot Ridge and Maker's Point for the FPS modes, and Winner's Circle for Master modes, as there's some bugs. They should return in Alpha 3.23. They've disabled the Ready system in Squadron Battle. It just goes. They've improved team balancing to prefer to keep squads together. Scoreboard in Racing mode should now display players in order of race position, and lap counts should also now show correctly. They fixed issues with death info and issues when spawning and getting kicked, stuff like that. There's a massive Master Modes update in this patch though, and it's basically the lion's share of the patch. So testing for Master Modes is incredibly important ahead of Alpha 3.23's release in April. Master Modes are now available in Pirate Swarm, with special AI behaviours being tested as well, focusing on closer engagements and more aggressive traits. They've tuned this specifically for Master Modes. This mode replaces Master Modes in Endless, Vandal Swarm. Atmospheric maps have been enabled to basically assist in testing in more environments. It's important to note that this isn't the Control Surface's atmospheric flight model that was shown at CitizenCon 2953. A wider selection of ships has been introduced though for you to choose from: the P-52, the Gladius, the Buccaneer, the Super Hornet, the Vanguard Warden, the Constellation Andromeda, and the Hammerhead. They wanted to have a nice range of ships from Snub all the way up to Corvette, so that you can test each of the different archetypes of ship. They've made engine updates, so the rotational speed and acceleration modifiers for boosting are now dependent on the capacitor assignment between 50 and 100%. Capacitor assignment will not affect boost burn times unless you are in an interceptor. They've reduced the overall boost pool, but increased the regen by 50%. There's no regen difference in nav versus FCM mode for boost capacity. They've changed regen delays to 0.25 seconds for snubs, 0.5 for light fighters, 0.75 for medium fighters, 1 second for heavy fighters, 2 for constellations, and 3 for hammerheads. They've slightly reduced rotation rates of the F7CM Super Hornet and Vanguard. Shields. All fighters with size 1 and 2 shields now have bubble shields. They've retuned shield strength. Size 2 shields are effectively weaker. Shield regen overall has been reduced. Capacitor assignment has a much bigger impact on resistance as well now. So energy resistance is 0 to 50% and ballistics is 0 to 25% resistance. The shield buffer pool in nav mode can hold up to 100% of the shield generator's health. Not shield related, but they've slightly reduced the health of the Buccaneer and Super Hornet. Weapon updates, they've reduced the weapon regen delays to 0.25 seconds, quarter of a second for anti-fighter, and 0.5 for unspecialized weapons. They've reduced ammo speed of all weapons, and the P-52 ammo has been increased, and they've added the custom gun for the P-52, and they've removed heat from energy weapons. It is super important that you test out Master Modes if you want to have your say in how the combat and flight model sort of evolves. These are huge changes, and they've obviously changed the sort of the way targeting and guns work, and it feels so much easier to hit targets. You're reasonably close to targets now. It is a fun arcadey experience they've gone for, rather than something that is super sim. Some people are going to love this, some people are going to hate it, but it's sort of important for people to say what they like and they don't like in feedback to CIG, even if it's just minor from your perspective, like, oh, I think that this regen should be changed slightly, or these weapons need to be more powerful or less powerful or whatever. It's all super important, and I'm really interested to know your thoughts on those Master Modes and how they play now, and what you like, what you don't like, the direction you think it should be going in. What do you think of the patch overall? Are you excited by that? Are you really upset? Did something get lost in the sort of transfer over? Did you lose a ship? Did you have refinery jobs in that you were like, oh no, I've lost them all? Are you going to be participating in this Idris event? We're about to know what's going on with that, and I'm excited for it, so I hope you are as well. If you've got any questions or thoughts on the patch, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. People always ask me, what's your favourite ship? And I always answer, it's NordVPN. With its powerful loadout, it wrecks pros and noobs alike. I can cruise around the verse with the added security that online threats aren't as much of a big deal. It also deals with intrusive ads, like this one, and gives you a greater accessibility to content you may want to watch on other platforms. I can watch Japanese Netflix. Is that even a thing? Maybe. You can find out with NordVPN. It is worth mentioning that CIG and Star Citizen don't actually produce a NordVPN ship yet, but NordVPN is available separately from the links below, and clicking those does help me buy spaceships, so it's basically the same thing, right? Go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. Get Nord, give ships. I don't know. That's an amazing promo. Every month, we give away a ship for Star Citizen. For February 2024, we're giving away a Drake Corsair Explorer with lifetime insurance and a game package. Everything you need to play and explore Star Citizen in style. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during this month. It is as easy as that. More details in the comments below. A massive thank you to everyone that goes the extra mile in supporting the channel. It is with your support we are able to make daily Star Citizen videos. If you want to be one of those lovely people, then please check out the join button under my videos. That will help you become a channel member. There's Patreon, there's direct donations. All the links for all of that are down below. But there are loads of non-monetary ways you can help support us. Commenting, sharing, liking, all of that sort of stuff goes a huge way in helping the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and you have a great day.